Joined, as we always are about this time, by Laquan Jones, who's wearing a normal shirt today. What happened? Are you doing laundry or something?
Yeah, it's laundry week. Going quiet.
Got it.
Loud shirts only.
Nah.
All right.
Not all the
All
time.
right. So, like, he does actually have non-loud shirts in the wardrobe. That's good to know. We are doing a little thing we're calling the medical tent. That's what it says here on the screen, because you, probably like everybody in your league, is dealing with injuries across your fantasy rosters. So we're going to talk about some guys that you may have to sit because of injury and some potential options to replace them. So, Florio, let's start in Houston. We talked about Tank Dell. We talked about Dalton Schultz. And the reason we like those guys this week, at least partially, is because Nico Collins is gone.
Yeah, unfortunately, I need to pull Nico Collins from a few of my lineups, as I'm sure many of you out there do. So Rashid Shaheed is a name that you could grab off the waiver wire to replace Collins or any of your players on bye this week. Shaheed dominates the deep ball usage in New Orleans, and the Vikings have they're in the top 7 in deep yards allowed to receivers, top 5 in just regular yards allowed to the position. And Shaheed is like, look, he could get you 3 fantasy points, or he could literally match Tyreek Hill's production for a week. Like, that's just the kind of player he is.
I mean, Laquan, he's one of those better in best ball kind of guys.
Yeah.
But weirdly, where Derek Carr can't seem to connect with Chris Olave on deep balls,
Yeah, that's
he's
weird.
hooking up with Rashid Shaheed.
I mean, he's getting it done. He has the big playability. You would think Chris Olave would be the plug-and-play guy there, but things are just happening with Rashid Shaheed. So it's like you got to go with the guy that's going to be making the big plays. And like Florio said, he could have a Tyreek Hill-like week.
Or nothing.
Yeah,
Or nothing.
or nothing. I mean, it's I think when it first started happening, you're like, all right, hey, that was kind of nice, but he's still sort of boom or bust, and now it keeps happening. You're sort of like, all right, well, maybe this is a thing, and maybe we gotta sort of
it's
buy
a perfect
into it.
marriage because you got Derek Carr, who's great at the deep ball. So again, you would think it would be Chris Olave to get those touchdowns increased, but looks like the perfect marriage is with Rashid. So
Never would have thought that was going to happen.
Never.
But here we are in week 10. Just when we thought everything was right with the Bengals offense and guys are starting to get healthy, T. Higgins shows up with a hamstring injury. He has been ruled out for this week. So what should folks be doing?
I mean, I would like to pivot to somebody that's on the same offense. You can go with Irv Smith. I mean, he's a big body target where you can target him downfield, makes the athletic catches. I mean, he's a guy that has a huge red zone presence as well. I mean, he found the end zone last week. I've always been a swerve and Irvin type of guy, so I was happy he was able to get in the end zone again. But his target share should increase with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins both banged up right now. One can only assume that, but it's nasty work out there on the wire, so you kind of don't have that many options. So why not pick up a guy that's on the offense, that's proven, that can go downfield and put some points on the board?
I mean, you know how I feel about this, Florio. Can we finally hashtag let Irv swerve?
When Laquan said it, I was like, oh, we've been waiting on
We've been
this
waiting
show
for this for so long.
years.
So long.
I believe in the talent that is Irv Smith, but I agree with Laquan's points. You get a player on an offense that we know could score a lot of points. It's just like, come on. If not now, then when, Irv? Please
Stay
come
healthy,
through for us.
please.
Well, last week he had a touchdown. They actually he had a touchdown. I think Drew Sample also had a touchdown last week too. So they're starting to integrate the tight ends a little bit more. A very good matchup for tight ends this week for the Bengals. So I do believe that, at least if you're looking to stream the position, that this is a good week to get him in there.
Yeah.
I also just wanted to say hashtag let Irv swerve because that's how I roll.
Let's make that a thing now.
Over in Germany, the Colts are there. You mentioned you like Michael Pittman as a start. Josh Downs, though, is dealing with a knee injury. It's going to keep him out of action. So this is a chance to pivot to another rookie in Jackson Smith in Jigba, who is starting to get some more love in the Seattle offense. And this is a very good week, I think, for Seattle pass catchers. They've got the Washington Commanders, and that Commander defense has been very generous to opposing passing games. It certainly doesn't hurt for Seattle that they don't have to deal with Montez Sweat and Chase Young getting after Geno Smith a little bit. So I know, Florio, your bold prediction for NFL Fantasy Live was that all 3 of their pass catchers have at least 15 fantasy points. So plenty of upside there this week. But bigger picture, Laquan, does this mean we are back in the JSN business for the rest of the season?
I know I am. I mean, things are starting to click for him. I mean, the last 3 games, he saw 13 fantasy points per game. That's something you want to see from a rookie wide receiver to get the production and be consistent in his offense. And I'm liking Geno targeting him all over the field as well because he's one of those guys that could just take off at any point and bring it to the house.
All right, so we are big on Jackson Smith in Jigba,
Yes.
so that's good news there. Let's go back around again because Kirk Cousins, we know, is out for the season with the Achilles injury, which obviously it stinks for him. It stinks for the Vikings. It stinks for fantasy. So a lot of people probably trying to stream, trying to plug and play. Who's a good option for this week and maybe beyond?
I like Baker Mayfield a whole lot this week. And like Marcus said, maybe beyond, because Baker Mayfield this season has had 2 games under 16 fantasy points. He's top 19 in each of his last 2. As far as streamers go, over 16 pretty much every week is as safe of a floor as you could get. He has shown there's some upside there, and the Titans are a defense that we know can be beat by receivers, especially downfield, and the Bucs have the receivers to do so, especially there, that guy right there, Mike Evans. So I think Baker Mayfield is a good play if you've been streaming Kirk, if you have to stream to replace Kirk Cousins, or I mean Patrick Mahomes, Tua, Jalen Hurts are all sidelined this week because of buys. So a lot of people need quarterbacks. Baker Mayfield is a name for you.
Yeah, there's so many streaming options this week. I mean, you've got quarterbacks injured, you've got quarterbacks on bye. I mean, how are we feeling about Bake, LQ? I mean, where on the cycle of Baker Mayfield are we? Like, do you play well? Is he going to talk trash about the? I don't know. I don't know where we are in the cycle right now.
Look, I just recently became a fan of Baker Mayfield, obviously, because he played for the Rams and he did some good things in that game.
He did a good thing for the Rams.
Hey, look, I was happy about that. But, man, as long as he has the weapons around him healthy with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, it's like I kind of want to buy into Baker as a streamer guy that could plug and play. And, like, I just lost Aaron Jones. I picked up Baker, a nice little replacement in 2 quarterback leagues. But you have the weapons around him. I think he's able to produce when he can, especially with Mike Evans on that deep ball.
And see, I think that's the thing for me, too, is not only has he played well enough to be in lineups, but he's elevated the guys around him, too. Mike Evans is a thing. We're talking about streaming Cade Otton in leagues this week because Baker's getting them the ball. More tight end issues, since we're talking about streaming some tight ends there. Dallas Goedert going to be out for what looks like a month with a fractured arm. I see the name here, and it's like I can't be mad at it, right? Like, I want to be mad at it, but at some point we just got to accept that this is what is.
It is what it is. Like, why not pivot to another tight end who's a tight end 1 for his team? And like Jonnu Smith, I mean, it may be toxic right now. It is what it is, but he's second on the team in receptions and receiving yards. He's top 5 in yards after catch among tight ends. Like, as you see, he has the big play ability to take it to the house at any point of the game. He's just clicking in this offense right now. And surprisingly, he's highly available to you on the waiver wire, which I'm not quite sure why now. I've been starting this guy since week 4 and been flexing him. So he has the big playability like we saw last week. So why not target yourself some Jonnu Smith?
I mean, we just accepted this, right, Florio, that Jonnu Smith is the tight end 1 in Atlanta.
Yeah, in Stardom Stidham article this week, I was like, what I want to happen doesn't score fantasy points. So we got to... Jonnu Smith and Taysom Hill are the only tight ends in the NFL that get goal line carries.
Yes, let's
Which
go.
makes 0 sense whatsoever. It's like Marlo Stanfield said in The Wire. You want it to be one way, but it's the other way. You want it to be Kyle Pitts, it's Jonnu Smith. As we're wrapping it up, though, let's talk some tight ends because Darren Waller, we know, is out with a hamstring injury. He is on injured reserve, and it's an easy pivot to Cade Otton. We talked about Baker Mayfield, talked about the Buccaneers offense, and Cade Otton is a guy who gets a lot of looks, especially down near the goal line, and that's really what we want from a streaming tight end. If you can score a touchdown, then that makes you a viable tight end 1 for the week. So Cade Otton, a guy you can get into some lineups. LQ, is he anything more than a week-to-week streaming option? He's not really a long-term option, is he?
I don't think he's a long-term option. You got guys that are banged up right now in the tight end position, so I like streaming him, putting him in, positions where I have to. But I honestly think he's like a relevant tight end to have on your watch list or have stashed, especially with these fantasy playoffs coming up.
Yeah, I think that's maybe the big key there. The fantasy playoffs are coming. If you're looking to stream tight ends, maybe start looking ahead to playoff schedules and see who has a good one.
Stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
There it is, right there. We have been ready for this show. Hopefully you were ready to enjoy it because it's over now. So we appreciate you hanging out with us. That's going to do it for this edition of the Stardom Cinema Show. For Michael F. Florio, for LaQuan Jones, I am Marcus Grant. Enjoy Week 10, everybody. We will talk to you again real soon.